to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Michelle Pellin. She is a licensed counselor and evidential medium, and she is also an author. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about spirits, we'll talk about healing, we'll also talk about spiritual awakening in that drop out. But before that, Michelle, let's understand a bit more about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Sure. I am a licensed counselor in the state of Connecticut and Florida. I had an awakening back in 2018, which turned my personal and professional life upside down in a good way. But it was rather jarring. So I felt like I needed to write a book to help people navigate that, because it can be very scary, if you will. All your belief systems get turned upside down. So now I consider myself a holistic psychotherapist. I pass that on to my clients if they want it. I don't push that on anybody. But if they're seeking that, which most of them are seeking me out to find it, they enjoy what I have to say. And I believe most of what they say, right? I mean, a lot of people are having experiences all over the world and nobody believes them or wants to talk about it. And I'm here to listen and help you process.
Right, Michelle. So, how do you balance this both sides of the work you do? You are a licensed, professional counselor, and on the other hand, by night you can be found connecting individuals through mediumship, reading their deceased, readings with their deceased loved ones, and all the things that you do around. Mind will always one will look at it very scientifically, one will look at it in a much more different way.
Right. Well, I try to keep them separate. I have had clients say, well, can you do a reading for me? Well, no. If it's psychotherapy, it's psychotherapy. We can certainly talk about your loved ones in spirit. We can talk about sound healing. We can talk about Reiki. We can talk about all those things. Absolutely. But as far as readings go, that is completely separate. And then I usually refer them to somebody else. But yeah, I'm juggling two worlds for sure, because I'm doing a lot of my mediumship in the evening and on the weekends.
Right. So has it happened that, as you said, during the day you are a licensed professional counselor and do all that work with related to trauma and all. So if the same client comes to you during the day and then again comes to you during the evening, will the advice be different, or will it be the same thing? What will be the outcome? I just want to understand that scenario.
Right. So that doesn't normally happen because I keep the world separate. If you're coming to me for therapy, I'm not going to be able to give you a reading. It's not going to be genuine because I know too much about you from therapy, and I want them to have a genuine experience. I want them to feel fulfilled, and it's just, yeah, I keep them separate. So I have therapy clients and I have mediumship clients.
Right, Michelle. So for clients in the evening, and what is it that they generally come to you for? What is it that they want from you, Michelle?
Okay, so there's a few things. I also do tarot, so a lot of them are looking for what I call spiritual guidance. They're looking for, well, okay, I had this awakening, now what do I do? So we do a lot of those kind of readings where I'm tapping into their guides and helping them figure out and navigate that path. I'm also getting people that say, my mom just passed away last month. Can you tap into her? I want to make sure she's okay. Most of the time, people just want to know that their loved ones are okay. They're not looking for anything grander than that. Believe it or not, you have to give them evidence, right? That you're not a charlatan. But most of them just want to hear, they're okay and that they love them. And so people come to me for that at night. Also, I do intro to mediumship. I teach a lot of classes, and I like to empower the average person, if you will, to show them that anybody can do this. I am not special. Sorry, Teresa Caputo, you're not special either, even though she's great. It's just work, 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 work. I tell people, would you go to the Boston Marathon and just show up that day and run the race? Or would you train for months in advance? That's really all it is. I'm teaching them, if they choose to, how to train so they can do this too. So that's one thing I do. I'm teaching tomorrow night locally. So I have a really big passion for that.
Right, Michelle. So you talk about evidential mediumship. As a common person, as a lay person, what is this, evidential mediumship?
Yeah, evidential mediumship is a little bit different than psychic mediumship. A lot of people like to identify that way, which is fine. Psychic is also tarot, so I'm doing psychic work, but separately. Evidential mediumship is based on, I'm going to get evidence, hard fact evidence for you that I can tap into your loved one and that they're here with you. It's not about, oh, let's talk to your angels and let's talk to your ancestors from 200 years ago. And that's not evidential, because you can't prove that I'm talking to your angels or that I'm talking to your ancestors from that long ago. It's more about, let's talk about grandma that you knew really, really well. So evidential is getting definitely the evidence that they can take. And it's not that mediums aren't always getting evidence. They are. It's just the art form of wording the evidence and making sure that the sitter understands it. That can be challenging because we have what's called bias. Bias, I point to the cognitive part of us when we get in our own way, right? When people think of cake, for example, what do you think of when I say cake? What do you think of?
Cake is cake,
Well,
Michelle, and yeah, obviously you think of taste, you think of, that
right, but
that
what kind of cake?
me, I would go for something pineapple cake or something like that.
Pineapple. I think of chocolate mousse cake. Okay. So everybody's going to have a different thought or bias. And that's what gets in the way of the communication between the sitter and the spirit communicator. Not that we're not getting the evidence. It's about how you word the evidence and putting your conscious mind on a shelf. And that's the hardest part of mediumship, quite honestly, is putting that thinking brain aside so you can allow things to come in.
Right, right. Now, you talked about grandma, that one can connect with whoever it is, but in this case, grandma. Why would grandma be waiting for, the grandson or the granddaughter for them? And is grandma so doesn't have any work waiting on the other side that these guys will call? What is it? And won't she get angry that, listen, you didn't care about me and now you are wanting to connect with me, and calling me?
That's a great question. I think that our human brains have this idea that grandma is up in the clouds with the harps and doing God's work, and maybe, but honestly, there's a couple of things here. First of all, grandma doesn't have an ego anymore. The ego is what makes us human. And I'm not, people go, oh, ego death, the ego has to die. No, if you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't look both ways when you cross the street. Like, you don't want to not have an ego, because that helps you with math and logic and critical thinking skills. We need to have our ego. But grandma, who's deceased, doesn't have that anymore. She's all about the subconscious, and it's about the soul. And she's made of pure love. So she's not going to say, well, you never visited me on Sundays, so I don't want to talk to you. Now,
Right.
the sitter may say, I don't want to talk to grandma. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to make anybody talk to anybody they don't want to talk to. But grandma is never going to say no. And the other thing you brought up was, isn't she too busy with her own work? No, she's not. They're never too busy for us. You can always talk to them through telepathy. You're talking to them through your mind to their mind, and they're always available. I don't care what time it is, what day it is. They're always available. They always make time for you because ultimately they want you to be happy. They don't really care about anything else except, are you happy? So I hope that makes sense.
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed. Now, I want to understand then how are we sure that grandma is not turned into a ghost and is already actually a good spirit or not so good spirit? What's the difference between a ghost and a spirit? And
Another
how
great
do you ensure that she's not a ghost?
That's another great question because I also identify as a ghost worker. So so think of a ghost as a sneaker and a spirit as a shoe, right? So ghost is a type of spirit. Ghosts are spirits that I don't want to say lost necessarily. They're just not ready to transition. There's many reasons why ghosts don't transition from being afraid to because they've been told they're going to burn in a pit of hell somewhere, or they're told that they have to protect somebody, or they have unfinished business. There's a lot of different reasons. Most spirits, almost all of them, go to the other side. Okay. And when I say other side, I mean other frequency. They're not necessarily in the clouds with harps. That's just baloney. They are transitioned, and they can come back and forth. It's not, oh, well, you go to heaven and that's it, and never talk to you again. No, that's what mediums are doing. They're talking to people in a different frequency by raising their vibration, and they're lowering theirs, so we can have that conversation. So ghosts are more troubled spirits, if you will, which is only a handful. And even they can go back and forth, but most of them choose not to because of many reasons. Does that make sense?
Yes, so we can connect with ghosts. And are ghosts really
Yes.
scary? Scary, Michelle? You see, in movies, they have made them look so scary. Maybe it does not cost them much, so they made them all scary. Otherwise, a lot of makeup and all that will cost them. But what about
Right.
the outlook of the ghost? Are they as bad looking as we have made out them to be?
No, they're not scary. You should be afraid of living people, not dead people. let's say that right off the bat. Also, movies have depicted different genres in different lights, and ghosts are no exception. Ghosts are presented as scary or sometimes cute. Casper the Friendly Ghost can be cute. But that's just all the movies. It's not real. Now, do ghosts sometimes make noises? Yes. Do sometimes they cause havoc? Yes. But they're just trying to get your attention is what they're doing. They're not trying to be awful and evil. And if they're a human spirit, they're made of pure love. They're not going to hurt you. Are there, I mean, that's another conversation for another day. But are there darker entities out there? Yes, there are, but they're not human. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid of ghosts. Absolutely not.
Right. Right, Michelle. Now, when we talked of grandma and spirits, you said they don't have ego, and that is where they will always respond to you.
Right.
Why is it that they don't remember about the ego but remember about the relationship with humans?
They do
Why is it? How can
remember.
we show?
They do remember. They remember everything. They have all their memories, but they choose not to act on it. So if you've ever been in that state where you've been either in a really deep meditative state and or been like under hypnosis, you're in that state where you're not looking for vengeance. You're not angry. You're not you're in a different state of mind. People that have had near death experiences will talk to you about feeling that love, that universal love. And we can all touch that as humans. We don't need to have an NDE to feel that, but they're saying that you're feeling that, and so are the spirits. So they're not influenced by the earth, and the human craziness and the ego. They do remember everything, but they don't hold grudges. They absolutely do not hold grudges. They are not angry at you. They are not fearful of you. None of that. It's baloney.
Right, right. So what are they waiting for? The ghosts, the spirits, are they waiting for something for our calls, or they are just waiting there for something, for the other part of their journey? How does that work?
Are they waiting for something? Well, the spirits that are crossed over, no, they're not waiting for anything, unless they want to do another life. I do believe in past lives, so there's that. As far as like the ghosts, they're not necessarily waiting. They're just confused. Some of them think that they're still sick. They don't realize they're dead. Some of them are trying to protect family members in the house from other things that are going on. Some of them are just happy to be on the earth and hang out. And I don't really bother them if they're not bothering anybody else. Just hang out and have a good time. But you always want to let them know that the opportunity to go to the light is there. So they're not waiting for anything.
Right. So if ghosts are there, and if they see their family members are in deep financial trouble, they would be knowing better about, hidden treasures. Why don't they ever tell them that, listen, do not face such financial difficulties, all these problems. I care about you, and now I am more powerful. I have more knowledge about all these places. I can go to either even, I can tell you about hidden treasure, or I can
Right.
even go to the Federal Reserve and get out some dollars for you.
Wouldn't that be nice? So first of all, spirits, they don't care about money, number one. Number two, they don't want to interfere with your life unless you ask them to. It's about free will, right? Maybe you are happy in that state, or maybe there are people out there that say they are happy being miserable, believe it or not. They don't always admit that, but it is a thing. As far as like special powers to get money out of the bank, now if you appeal to them and say, can you help me out, grandma, they're going to find ways to influence others to make things work. It's not about going to the bank and stealing money and giving it to you. It's more about, well, that person out there that owes Michelle money, let me put some thought into their head so that they can get some money coming in. It's all about influencing the nervous system, because that's how mediumship works. They're talking to us through the subconscious mind. We're getting mini movies in our head, which are usually silent. We get words or sentences that pop in our brain, and we get feelings in our body. So grandma might do that to somebody else. And I've had that experience where other friends have been influenced in order to give me a sign. So that definitely happens.
Right, Michelle. Talking of now healing. Who needs healing? Is it only the humans, ghosts, and also the spirits? They all
I,
need healing. And can they all get healed in one particular aspect of doing things?
well, all humans need healing, absolutely. There's no human I know of that is enlightened. That's not a thing. As far as ghosts, yeah, we have a team called Spirit Healers of New England, and that is a team I'm on to do ghost work. And yeah, definitely, we've had to heal ghosts. That's one of the reasons why they're confused or they're lost or they still think they're dead, is because maybe they need some energy from us, energy healing. Spirits, as far as like people that have already transitioned, that's not usually a thing. No, to give them a healing. They're fine. They're good. They're happy. They don't need us for that.
Right. And for some ghosts, if their family members do not remember them for a long time, has any ghost ever told you that, listen, my family members ghosted me for so many years? Has it ever happened?
No, I haven't had that happen. No, not yet. Yeah, no, they don't say, well, they don't pay attention to me, or no, they're trying to get attention because they need help, right? They need help transitioning to the other side, or some help with energy healing, or some help just to be listened to. Some of these ghosts just want to be heard and validated, just like people do.
Right. And so let's come down to the spiritual awakening part, the spiritual
Okay.
awakening. What is this awakening all about? Especially in these times of so many versions, awake, awoke, woke, awakened, and I don't know what is. And I see sleep deprived people, whether you have woken up or you have been awakened.
Right. So awakening is a term that is used when your belief system gets turned upside down. So, for example, I was raised Roman Catholic, and a lot of those beliefs just don't fit with me anymore. Right. It's a lot. It's really amazing how the brain will adapt and try to make it comfortable. For example, I remember my 10-year-old son, who I did not raise Catholic, looking up in a Catholic church at the cross and just being terrified, like, oh my God, there's this man and he's dangling off the cross and he's bleeding. And, like somebody who's never seen that is going to be terrified. So the awakening challenges all your beliefs. You don't think the same way. You're forced to look at things in a different way. You're not subjected to one belief system anymore. You're looking at all different religions and all different beliefs, and then you kind of adopt what you want to feel spiritualism is. But bottom line is that you're opening up your heart to the universe also. And so when you have an awakening, you feel more connected. You feel, Jim Carrey actually talks a lot about that. The movie star, he talks about the feeling of the connection, the oneness with the universe. And it's hard to explain to somebody that hasn't had one, but it's an important step for somebody that especially has been raised to believe that there's a hell and that there's evil and there's darkness, and you need to understand that those things are just man-made. They're man-made stories.
Right, right, Michelle. So would I know about my awakening? Do I have to be in sleep, then I awake with some,
Okay.
some sort of a dream, or it can happen to me, but I will not know in that way. I'll have to perhaps feel it. How does that work?
That's a fair question. I never thought about it that way. No, you don't need to be asleep. No, no, no. As a matter of fact, you're not asleep. It's like if somebody like said something to you and you just like were shaken, like in shock, if you will, and somebody just said something that completely was not your belief system, and then now you have to try to take that and work with it. That's what an awakening is. And it's not just usually one event, it's a few events over and over again. When I went and did my awakening, I didn't do it on purpose. It's not usually on purpose ever. I ended up at a holistic healing center where my office was, and I was surrounded by like-minded people, sound healers and Reiki masters and other mediums, and all these modalities that I had little to no knowledge about. And I was pushed, not forced, pushed into really understanding for the first time what the universe is really made out of. So it's like somebody shoved you, but without literally shoving you, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. There is much to learn from you, and so let's learn a bit from your book. So you have had a spiritual awakening. Now what? So now
Right.
what? If I know that I have awakened myself from any sort of a thing, I know the truth of the universe. What do
Right.
I do? Am I the
Right.
only one? How do I do? What is my mission then?
Well, okay, so that's a funny word, mission. And a lot of people will say, "What's my purpose? What's my mission? What's my goal for living?" Your goal is to be you, to have experiences. There really is no grand purpose. So letting that go, for one thing. As far as like now what in the book, it talks about if you want to grow your telepathy, if you want to grow your psychic abilities, if you want to grow your mediumship abilities. I'm a practicing witch also. Maybe that's a path you want to take. Maybe you want to take the shamanic path. whatever it is, we'll talk about those things. There's a lot of exercises in the book that you can do that are really, really easy and fun. Some of them you do with other people, some of them you do yourself. And it really helps you understand that you can connect to something way, way, way bigger than you. And that there's more to life than just the mundane. So the book is my story, but and to validate, right? I want to make sure people understand they're not going crazy, that this is real, you're okay. And then once they get to that point, have some fun with the exercises. They're really they're simple and they're enjoyable.
Absolutely. There is so much to learn from you, Michelle, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, connect with your loved ones through you, and
Yeah.
learn so many things about this world and also the outside world. So, what is the best way for for the all those people to connect with you?
That would be my website, www.spiritualtherapywithmichelle with 2Ls.com. It has all the events. It has all the links to my social media because I'm on Instagram and TikTok under Spiritual Therapy CT for Connecticut, where I do a free reading every morning. And the book is available on Amazon, but it's also linked to the website too. And I'm doing a holiday special, 10% off all services until the end of the year. And I do gift certificates. So please come check me out. Mental health services, I can't discount. That's against the law. So everything else, I can give you a discount.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. This was fun.